bags where horror lies.
Welcome back to Body Bags. This is week number 482. This is a random week. I'll be your host, Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and I do believe this is going to be the last stop on my Brian De Palma train. And it's going to be Mission to Mars. Mission to Mars is a 2000 film, which runs approximately 114 minutes, and is directed by Brian De Palma. Of course, he was responsible for Dress to Kill, Sisters, and Obsession, among others. This stars Tim Robbins as Woody Blake. He was in The Shawshank Redemption, Nothing to Lose, and Fraternity Vacation. It also stars Gary Sinise as Jim McConnell. He was in The Forgotten, Imposter, and Snake Eyes. And Don Cheadle as Luke Graham. He was in Avengers, Age of Ultron, Traitor, and Reign Over Me. Now, the budget on this was $100 million, which blew my mind. This actually took in $111 million worldwide. That also blew my mind. All right. Mission to Mars. It had probably been about 20 years since I've seen this film. And I really wanted to watch it and review it because this does have some horror elements. Okay, basically the story is you have astronauts going up to Mars. Don Cheadle and Tim Robbins, of course, are leading a team that is going up to Mars in order to, try to find water so that they can colonize on Mars. Something happens. They do find something, not water related, but something happens, and this is where the horror elements come in, that basically decimate the entire crew, except for Don Cheadle. Of course, you don't know that at the time, but a second team goes up to Mars for a rescue attempt, and of course, this one is led by Gary Sinise. And of course, you find out what this malevolent force is that decimated the crew. That's basically the story in a nutshell. This may be my least favorite Brian De Palma film. Now, that does not mean that I do not like this film. I do. I don't think it holds up as well as a lot of his other films, because there are certain film techniques that they use and effects techniques that they use, that being the operative word here, that really don't hold up and are slightly out of style, in my opinion. So, I do like the story. I read a couple things about it, and the spacesuits cost $100,000 a piece to make, which blew my mind. They had to get something like 14 or like 140 or 150,000 cans of red paint in order to spray paint the sand to give it that look of Mars. And there's a lot of really neat things to learn about when you're watching this film if you do the research and do all that kind of stuff. But it just, to me, it doesn't feel like a Brian De Palma film. It's still executed with his style intact for the most part. You don't get a lot of what makes Brian De Palma, the split screen style and all that kind of stuff. But it is made extremely well. What I think happened was, because this is a Touchstone film, I think it is, which I believe is owned by Disney now, or was owned by Disney then, but I think that he didn't have as much control on this film as he did a lot of his others. I mean, this is a $100 million film. Yeah. I mean, when you're going to take on something like that, I would imagine he had people breathing down his neck the entire time, which I do think affected the film itself. Of course, this is all speculation, but I mean, you got to figure when you're putting up that kind of money to make a film, oof, there's got to be, I mean, especially back in 2000, $100 million was a lot of money. Still is, but especially for back then. I still recommend it. I think it's a really good film. It is probably my least favorite Brian De Palma film, but I do like it. I definitely think it's worth a watch. You'll definitely know when the outdated stuff comes because that's just how it is now. Some things don't hold up quite as well as they once did, but give it a shot. I think you'll enjoy it for the most part. If you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.